Hello, everyone. My name is Keith Simonson. I'm with IMDb. They should know Amazon.com if you didn't know. And today we have an incredibly special hour for you. We get to talk today to an actor, a director, and a producer, a multi-hyphenate, as they would say. He is known for so many roles and for really being a stalwart man of stage and screen, both big and small. He's possibly best known recently as Frank Gallagher in Shameless, for which he was nominated for 4 Outstanding Lead. You could please. Nominated for 4 Outstanding Lead Actors for that, and picks up a SAG award for that role. And certainly from 1996's Fargo, another just Jerry Lundegaard, who is quoted a million times across this great land of ours. But he's also known as a former quiz show winner from Magnolia, Little Bill and Boogie Nights, and one of my favorites, the Shoveler from Mystery Men. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to introduce you to William H. Macy. Thank you all. Now, I think, well, you're here to talk about The Layover.
Yeah.
And I think we have a trailer, if you're okay with us watching that.
I sure hope so.
Okay.
Put your demon powers in me, Squid. I want to feel your might deep within. 20 years, Kate. Seen it all. Maybe not sex with an octopus.
Are you firing me? This would be an exclusive for Harold's.
Where is this from?
Asia.
DPRK. Isn't that North Korea?
Our lives. We're screwed up, but I have a solution.
We're going to Florida. It's going to be so fun.
I think I'm in the middle there.
Hurricane Cindy has taken a bit of a turn at redirecting us.
Welcome to the St. Louis Sheraton. I do hope you'll consider yelping us.
Oh, since we're gonna be stuck here, you guys want to get a drink later on tonight? You guys want to dance?
I want him. Not this time. Oh, cute suit. I'll see you by the pool. Kick in the door. Come to bed. Kick in the door. Ready for war. Kick in the door. No one's gonna stop them. Occupied.
Are you okay? You got something on you.
I would do anything for that man. Anybody got in my way, I'd kill him. I kill you, I kill you, I kill everyone.
Whoa! I take Krav Maga, but why? That was a straight up kill shot.
You took a kill shot at me? Kick in the door.
Now, The Layover looks like it's set initially in the, what city is it initially set in?
I think they were supposed to be in Seattle.
Uh-huh. And it was shot in?
Vancouver.
as we do. How did you get involved with this?
After years of putting it off, I decided I wanted to direct a film, and we had talked about it. I did something called Rudderless, and I was looking for another film.
By the way, I'm going to stop you right there.
Thank you all for
Which
coming.
is terrible.
No.
If you haven't seen Rudderless, it's an astonishing film, and with Billy Crudup and the late Anton Yelkin, and it's a brilliant movie.
Thank you.
I want to give you my own personal round of applause. And if you don't have it on your watch list, please take the time to do it, because it's worth it. It's also great music. Sorry about that.
So I was looking for a second film, and this one, I had to talk the writers into letting me do it. It's a sex comedy, as you can see. It's about two 27-year-old women, and I know so much about 27-year-olds and women. I thought it's a shoo-in. I've always wanted to. I was naive. I thought, it's a Judd Apatow movie. What could be so hard about that? Comedy's hard, folks. It's really hard. It's a very small target. But at any rate, I prevailed, and they let me direct it. And it was tough, but it was a real learning experience. I'll tell you, it's hard to make a Judd Apatow movie.
The writers, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah. And we worked on the script a lot. One of the things I like about it is that it would appear it's two women duking it out over a guy, but the twist, and I don't think it ruins it for anyone, is that he has nothing to do with it. Neither of them want him. It's a battle, with that gorgeous man being the battlefield, and I found that refreshing. And I have two daughters, and this whole that phrase, you fight like a girl. Well, I've grown to respect that. If someone fights like a girl, run, because girls are tough. And it was great fun.
So you've got, obviously, Kate Upton and Alexandra Daddario. Talk about getting them involved and how you end up with these two leads.
Casting is torturous, I'll admit it. But Kate was the first to respond to it, and we were at the Soho House, and I didn't recognize her when she first came in. She's quite the tomboy. She came in big fat boyfriend jeans and a sweatshirt, and I thought, that's her? And boy, when she turns around and you see that punum, it was her, okay. And then everybody at the Soho House recognized her, and it was fun watching waiters fall downstairs and walk into the bar and drop glasses. Alexandra came on later, and I didn't know that much about her, but she's a wonderful comedian. I hope and pray she does a lot of comedies. She is dry as the Mojave and has a great sense of humor and impeccable timing. She's really good.
That's one of the things I really found quite fascinating about it, is that you have more of a bad analogy, but Laurel and Hardy. One's a much more physical comedian. Kate Upton feels like she's just more boisterous, and Daddario's thinking. She plays an English teacher. She's very, almost, as you said, dry. I like that dynamic quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then your male lead, Matt Barr.
It's Matt Barr and Matt Jones, and the
Jones,
two ladies. And Matt Barr was the guy with the abs. And it was, nothing is more humiliating than having your picture taken with those four. I learned to just go off to the side. First of all, it felt like a wizened dwarf because they're all about 6-something. And that was one stunning cast. I said to our producer, Keith Carville, we should breed them and sell the puppies. We could make more money.
Let's talk about origin stories if you're comfortable with that.
Sure.
You're primarily known as an actor. What was the first time that you were on stage?
In high school, I played Mordred in Camelot. And it was a long time ago, before people grew their hair long, and we were told to grow our hair long, and as you can tell, I like that. And also the dressing room was an eye-opener. I think a lot of men went into the theater because of the dressing room. Actors are very free about such things, including high school girls when they're on the stage. But that was the first play I did, and I kept not failing at it is the best way to put it, and while failing handsomely in other areas. So
You were going to be did you really study to be a veterinarian?
a veterinarian. I got a job at 14 with a veterinarian, and I was pretty good with the dogs. And then I went off to college and I met David Mamet, and he was my mentor, and he was the guy that taught me it's an honorable way to spend your time. That our job is to tell the truth, that the theater is one of the last places you can go to hear the truth.
That's lovely. And you formed the Atlantic Theater Company, correct? Atlantic Theater Company.
Formed 2 theater companies. Dave's big thing was you can sit around waiting for the phone to ring, or you can make your own fun. So I moved to Chicago with 2 compatriots, and we started our own theater company there called the St. Nicholas Theater, who was the Russian patron saint of actors, pawnbrokers, and prostitutes. And it just confused everyone in Chicago. Are you only going to do Christmas plays, they thought? And then they decanonized him. So I suggested the Mr. Nicholas Theater, but nobody went for that. And we were a huge success. Our first play was American Buffalo by David Mamet. And first 3 productions were sold-out hits. I was 25 years old. I had the keys to the theater, and you had to know me to get a ticket. It was wildly successful.
And so you moved to New York.
And then after 10 years in Chicago, I moved to New York. We started another theater company, the Atlantic Theater Company, which still exists. I think it's one of the finer off-Broadway theaters now, and it's in its 15th year, I believe, and they do beautiful work.
Why the name, the Atlantic? I mean, St. Nicholas, that makes, I get that. Why the Atlantic Theater Company?
If memory serves, Dave had been thinking of starting a theater company, and he had copyrighted the name. He had grabbed the name, and they were born. The company was born out of these classes taught by NYU. He called me up one day. He said, "Billy, we're going to teach these classes. You want to come up to Vermont and we'll teach these kids?" And after about 4 years of that, Dave said, "I don't have anything more to teach you. Who feels summary?" And 7 of them raised their hands, and he said, "Good, summarize everything we've done in the last 7 years." And they wrote a book called A Practical Handbook for the Actor. And then they formed the company. He said, "I've got the name, Atlantic," and off they went.
I'm going to roll back a little bit. What's the first time you meet David Mamet?
I went to a hippie college. I'm a functioning idiot. The rules were at Goddard. There were no teachers. There were teachers. There had to be teachers. There were no tests. There were no grades. There were no requirements. You had to pay tuition. That's it. You had to pay tuition. So it was, everyone smoked dope and chased each other around. And then one day, David, who had graduated from Goddard the previous year, came in and he said he was going to teach an acting class, and I showed up the first day. And you were talking about being on time. Luckily and uncharacteristically, I was on time, and there were about 7 people behind me, and he said, "Go away, close the door, go away." And it was the rule. If you're on time, you're late. Get there, be ready to work. And in a hippie school, to say you had to be on time was the most revolutionary thing I had ever heard. And he was a taskmaster. He came from the Russian school of acting, Stanislavski, and taught me everything I know.
What's your favorite David Mamet line?
It's a line from a play, but I've lived by it. Always tell the truth. It's the easiest thing to remember. I'm also fond of, don't touch that dial. If you touch that dial, you're fucking fucked. That's pretty good.
So you go and you've been a working actor for a long time, which is one of the nice things I imagine about having a television show that is consistent. But you actually did voiceover work, correct?
Yes. I was a stage actor for the first 20 years of my career, and it's hard to make a living, as you well know. And everyone does commercials and voiceovers. And Bern Piven in Chicago, Jeremy Piven's father, was my mentor, and he helped me make a tape. And I was never very good at it, but I got enough jobs to pay for my theater habit. I did Secret, Strong Enough for a Man but Made for a Woman. I did that. As a matter of fact, I was leaving Chicago to move to New York, and my agent called and said, "There's a secret audition." And I thought, okay, I won't tell anyone. And I showed up. And when it was my turn, I said, "Secret, Strong Enough for a Man Made for a Woman." I said that 7 times and got in the car and drove to New York and found out that I had gotten the job and it was picked up, and I got huge checks every 2 or 3 months. And it paid for my New York experience, or at least the first part of it.
Your production company is called Dog Pond.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Goddard College is in Vermont, and I fell for Vermont big time. So I bought a couple of acres and built a cabin there on Dog Pond Road. Still have it, although I don't get there that often. I love Vermont, though.
And can you? And then you've got a 20th anniversary coming up here on September 6th.
Yes, I've been married to Felicity Huffman for 20 years. It's hard to believe.
Can you talk about the first time that you meet Felicity?
Yeah. It was through the Atlantic Theater Company. I was a teacher and she was a student, but I never touched her. I'm telling you. Seriously, I never touched her. But she came, she did this scene, and oh my God, I was really, I think love at first sight is the thing. I was swept away by this broad. She was so smart and so pretty and so talented. But as I said, I didn't touch her until it had to be 10, maybe 15 minutes after the last class. She says, we went to a party, she says, I walked her up to this barn and planted one on her. But she told me, she said, "Do you want to see the barn? I love architecture." I said, "Yeah." She took me to the barn, but...
I love architecture?
Yeah.
So, we talk about first credits on IMDb a lot, and because I think there's instructive things there. Yours is a doozy, I think. It's, if you can...
The Awakening Land?
The Awakening Land.
It's a big deal for me. In Chicago, when they would come through with a big film, that was a mini-series, I think 3 or 4
maybe 4
episodes of it. It was a big job. We shot in Springfield, Illinois. I think I was there for months and made a whole lot of money, even though it was minimum. I made a whole lot of money. And that was astounding. Hal Holbrook and Elizabeth Montgomery, who became a pal. And I get to kiss Jane Seymour. And
not too bad.
Not too bad at all.
And The Awakening Land's a turn-of-the-century thing. I remember it fairly distinctly, and it was it was well-reviewed, it did well. Mm-hmm. So what happens after The Awakening Land?
Nothing. It's, even after Fargo, it was well-received and got breathtaking reviews, and I got indicted for it. As J.J. Johnson says, I got a nomination for it. And, but nothing in terms of work until I started to feel it. It was 1.5 years, 2 years later after Fargo where you start to feel that your life has changed. It was Boogie Nights. I was doing some film and they sent me the script for that, and it was racier than the film. It was X-rated. I mean, it was a porn film. There was a lot of really explicit stuff, and I called my agents and said, "Hello, am I done? Is that what you're saying?" And They said, no, it's going to have an R rating and they're going to clean it up. Paul wants to meet you. And oh, Lorda, did I want to do that. It was a wonderful script. And I had seen Hard Eight, his first film, and it's fabulous if you can see that film. He's the real deal. He's a wonderful director. And I decided, I'll do the Yellow Pages if you're directing. So we met at the Formosa Cafe, and I had put my thoughts together on how I'm going to sell it and the through line of the character. And I said hi when he started talking, and I'm watching, and I thought, holy crap. He's selling. I'm buying. I got the role. He's trying to talk me into it. And I just went, tell me more. It's the first time I thought, okay. And really, one of the last auditions, quote unquote, I ever went on.
Let's talk about Fargo. Roll back to that if that's okay. You said you knew who Jerry Lundegaard was and got what that character was. Can you explain that a little bit more?
I went for the sheriff's role. It was a 2 days' work. And
Marge?
No. There's a sheriff. There's a fabulous scene where the sheriff takes his thing, and after they said the two guys, and he threatened them, and I didn't think that's too good, so I called you up. And then they both turn and they go, front's moving in. Yep, looks like it's going to be rain. Remember that scene? It's a great scene. I went in for that role. And Joel and Ethan said, that's real good. You want to read Jerry Lundegaard? And I said, yes, I do. So I went out in the hall and I worked on it. Came back in. They said, that's real good. You want to work on it some more and come back tomorrow? I said, yes, I do. I was up all night. Every actor in LA was at my house drilling me on the lines. I had the whole script down. And I thought the audition went well. And they said, that's real good. And then I found out they were auditioning in New York. So I got my Lutheran ass on an airplane and I crashed that audition. I don't recommend that, but it worked for me.
You did possibly two things that aren't recommended in a casting audition. You also, I believe...
Oh, yeah. It was a joke, but I said, I threatened to shoot his dog if they didn't give me the role. I wouldn't do that either. If I knew that was, you ask. In all candor, I think I'm pretty good at reading scripts. I think I have pretty Catholic taste, and I think if I think it's great, I'm pretty sure most of America will agree with me. I've just got that knack, and it was a brilliant script. It was the Coen brothers, so everyone was going to see it. I absolutely felt if I got that role, it was going to change my life, without question. I thought Shameless was going to be great. I read the script. I saw the British version. I'm pretty good at reading scripts. You know the trick?
What?
Don't read the stage directions. They're horseshit anyway. Everyone ignores them. Just read the dialogue. If you can read it in one sitting and just read the dialogue, go back if you're lost, And if you can read it in one sitting, that's almost the amount of time that the film will screen in. And so you've seen the movie in your mind's eye. Well, it's easy to choose if you've seen the movie already.
Directing. Many directors have directors that they admire and, either emulate or even just admire from afar, appreciation. Who are some directors that have particularly influenced you or that have made an impression on you?
Gary Ross is a wonderful director.
Pleasantville.
He's... Gary's prep I always found to be astonishing. I mean, he makes that film in his head before it's made, so he's so clear on what we have to shoot. He worked with the DP really well. I loved hearing him talk with his various DPs. Paul Anderson is one of those guys who is infectious. He loves filmmaking so much, and he's seen every movie ever made, and a lovely writer. Both those examples, and Dave Mamet. I really, especially when we worked in the theater, they're all writer-directors. But I'll tell you, having directed 3 films, it's a miracle. When you make a movie and it's really good, or especially when it's iconic, it's a miracle. Because my analogy of making, especially an independent film, is you, in 5 weeks of prep, you construct this building that is your film. And on the first day of shooting, it catches fire. And for the next 5 weeks, you see the director in the upstairs throwing shit out the window that he's trying to save. And producers running up with buckets of water. That's what it's like. Somebody else said it's building a boat when you're in the water. Somebody else said it's putting a dot of paint on a canvas with a 100-foot paintbrush and 500 people holding it. They're all true.
We talked a little bit about Rudderless. 2014 goes to Sundance and stars the incomparable Billy Crudup and Anton Yelkin, sadly, who's no longer with us. Do you have a favorite anecdote of Anton Yelkin?
We are in that bar, and it's when they're singing that fabulous song about the devil. And we had about 150 extras, and for a minute I thought we were in an old building that we had turned into a bar. And they got so excited, they were bouncing, and I was looking at the floor going like this, and I was thinking, film company crashes into basement. But they were so whacked out by that song. It was a thrilling moment. I could have shot that all day. Another great moment on Rudderless was Sundance called and said, "Congratulations, you're the closing film." And I said, "You mean we're last?" I may be Lutheran, but I was prescient. I was at Sundance, and I had been there most of the week. I saw some films, and on Wednesday I saw Hollywood pack up and leave, and we aired Friday. There were a lot of film fans there, but nobody who buys films. If you ever get the honor of being the closing film, don't take it.
It's tough being the opening film and the closing film.
Opening's a lot better than closing.
Yeah. You were a bartender at one point in time, correct?
I mixed a few drinks.
What's the best? What's your favorite drink? What's the best to make? Or
I can make a mint julep that will make you weep. Will make you unconscious is what it'll do. I love tending bar, and it's one of the few jobs I've ever had. I'm one of those lucky guys. I've never had a real job. I tended bar a wee bit in Chicago, and then that was it. I started making money doing this. Not a lot of money, but enough to pay the rent.
You also are, like I guess Harrison Ford. You're a woodworker.
Yeah.
You own a lathe. You own a lathe.
I have a lathe. I have 2 lathes, but who's counting? I'm the worst carpenter I've ever met, and I'm not kidding. But I do love it, and I just built myself a new shop, and I got all the toys. And my philosophy is measure once, go to the lumber yard 4 times.
There are a lot of bowls around around the house.
Yes, I turn bowls. Usually when I say that, people say, "Yeah, I used to do that, but I had to stop." I said, "No, that's burn bowls." I turn bowls on a lathe. You take a big block of wood and you make a salad bowl out of it, and it's a lovely thing to do. You can start to finish. You can have it in about 4 hours.
If you don't mind, your wife Felicity Huffman has 2 fairly great anecdotes about you. One is about the Desperate Housewives, the initial upfronts, when they're having the upfronts for Desperate Housewives. and she calls you. Do you remember what I'm...
Keep going.
She calls you and she's crying because she's like the closing night of Sundance in the analogy of...
She said, I'm the ugliest one here or something like that. Yeah.
Well, she was getting the least attention from the photographers. It was, the upfronts, so it was Nicolette Sheridan and...
Yeah, all these beautiful women, yeah. I was trying to cheer her up. I said, oh, honey, it's just going to get worse. But it made her laugh. And I think I told her to turn down Housewives. I said, this is never going to go anywhere. That part I told about knowing how to read a script earlier, it's not always true.
Not always true. And then there was one about you guys made a very strategic decision on your wedding about how you were going to make it unique.
As always happens, the bride demon grabbed her by the throat, and she unloaded on me about 3 days before the wedding, saying I wasn't doing enough and I had to help more, and she was going crazy. And I said, I will do anything you want me to do, but if I can be blunt, this is a chick day. This is about you. It's not about the groom. It's a bride's day. And she said, well, let's make it about you too. What do you want? And I said, okay, I don't want to walk in from the side like a thief in the night. I want my entrance. She said, done. You walk down the middle. I said, what about this? We'll do 2 aisles and we can walk in at the same time. She said, go fuck yourself. Oh, we had a best wedding. It was a great wedding. I knew it was great the 4th time I greased the band. We got a great band, about 9 pieces. They could play anything. And I just had a pocket full of money. I kept going, please keep playing. And they played until the wee hours, and people danced so hard. I took my brother to the airport the next day, and you could tell our guests, because they were all hobbling to the plane. They couldn't walk. It was a great wedding.
I don't know the answer to this, which is how did you resolve were you just standing up there? How'd you resolve?
No, I got my entrance and waited for her, and it worked out. It was threatening rain, and it had held off, and as Felicity started down the aisle, hand to God, the clouds parted and a shaft of sunlight hit her dead on in this dress that was just killer. I was standing by the minister who went, holy shit. He did. It was magical.
You were also renowned for remembering and being able to recount jokes. What is your favorite joke?
I love this. For some reason, I got a lot of golf jokes. Okay, guy's playing golf. Best day of his life. He eagles a hole, birdies. He's better than it's ever been. The phone rings. It's the hospital. And the doctor says, you got to come. It's your wife. He tees off one more time. First hole in one he's ever had. He finishes all 9 holes, gets in his car, races to the hospital. Doctor says, you didn't come when I called, did you? He says, no. He says, you played all 18 holes, didn't you? He says, yeah. And I said, well, forget golf, pal. No more golf for you. From now on, it's your wife. Not golf clubs. It's going to be wheelchairs and lifting her in and out of bed. He says, oh my God. And the doctor says, I'm just kidding you. She died 2 hours ago. Excellent joke, isn't it?
That is an excellent joke.
I've always felt jokes are the absolute epitome of storytelling. I think, I don't care if it's a 2-hour movie, you got to tell it like a joke. I took that Robert McKee course, story structure. He's dead on. And I've always prided myself on telling jokes. I got it from my father, but I also want to leap out the building when I hear bad joke tellers, you know, when they put too many things in and wreck their own jokes. Even a good joke, they just talk too much. You got to get to the punchline with the minimum amount of information. You got to figure out what your audience needs and what they can't do without, and not say one more word than that. It's the essence of art, I guess. Just take away everything you can.
Very quickly, do you have favorite movie quotes? Any particularly?
Lines from movies?
Lines from movies. The ones I love particularly are the ones that you say that nobody else gets.
I probably am paraphrasing that. Are you nuts? The fall will probably kill us. That's up there. Mandrake, you ever see me drink water? Same one. You said, feed me, Jackie, and I fed you. I saw that recently. My daughter, my oldest daughter, wants to go into the biz. She's going to LACHSA in LA, the Performing Arts High School, and both of them said, what movies should we see? That's a growing up experience, because movies that you loved, you sit down and watch them, and they're just suck. They're awful.
It's painful.
But Dr. Strangelove, both of them were absolutely riveted by it. There's a scene in there, that scene, give me the code, Jack, was it?
Yeah.
It must have been an oversized mag on the camera. It goes on easily for 4 minutes. Two guys, like a 50 millimeter lens, talking. Two guys on a couch. They don't even leave the couch. And you have no idea there was no cut in that thing. It's one take. That's how good the acting is.
I think, are we going to try and do questions? You can, whoa, we can only do one question. I'm sorry.
No.
What?
People can line up here for questions.
Oh, people can line up for questions. If you would like to, ask William H. Macy a question. And the mics are there. Oh, just right there. So Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which was your first quote. Hell, the fall will kill you.
Yeah.
Strangelove.
Chinatown's one of my favorite. I'm trying to. When he goes, Mr. Mulray, how rich are you? And he goes, and Houston goes, oh, I have no idea. I just love that. That's a great film, I think.
When you're right, and you're right.
Yeah. Forget it, boss.
Here we go.
Hi.
Yes. Hi.
Thank you for coming to Amazon.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, by the way.
I can't get over this. What song did you walk down the aisle to?
Don't tell her, man. I can't remember.
Do you remember your first dance song?
Well, it kind of got blown, but the second he said, you may kiss the bride, there was a big tent and we dropped it, and that's where that band was, and they went into, I feel good. That was at the end of our wedding. I was proud of that. That was a good moment.
That's a good moment. Go ahead.
Hello, thank you for coming. Would be interested in your perspective on how your role in Shameless has progressed, because the first kind of 4 or 5 seasons, you were drunk most of the time. and I feel like kind of in the 5th season, you progressed to not being drunk, but being able to cause more havoc when you were sober. And how do you think about kind of the family archetype that you portray in the show that's really about the family loving each other, but in a very different way than most people think about families being loving and standing for each other?
It's true. I think that's one of the reasons it's succeeded so wildly. It's about family values at the end of the day. It's a cagey question, too, about the Frank being drunk. First of all, his mechanical purpose there is to cause mischief. And I absolutely think every one of you probably have a Frank in your family somewhere. I think there could be a Spanish Shameless and a French Shameless and a German Shameless, and it's a universal story. The drinking thing has has been a real eye-opener for me as an actor. In the first couple of seasons, I do a pretty good drunk. And a couple of times I'd walk away from the scene going, that was a great drunk, and then I would go, uh-oh, I forgot to act the scene. It would take over. And then the other thing that happened is that it ain't out yet, but in the present season, Frank's sober. Frank gets a job and is assistant manager. He wears a suit. That's why I'm shaven. I was shooting yesterday. And it was interesting as an actor to take this character who'd been some form of inebriation all the time, and he's sober as a parson. And it threw me on my heels a bit. I found it off-putting. Turns out Frank's lying became a lot more vicious because you can't see him. He's really good at it. The other thing is that it was based on a British series, so we had a template for the first season. And the second season, I think John Wells had planned. But with a series, once you get to about season 4, this alchemy begins where the writers are starting to write for the actors. And so they've started imitating me to a certain extent as they've gotten to know me. And I've found it shocking because those rants that Frank goes on, they've gotten longer and longer and more erudite. And every once in a while I have to look up words, you know. And so apparently everyone thinks I'm sort of erudite. And I don't think of myself that way, but they have me speaking very formally. And I don't mean to put you off because Frank smokes a half a pound of methamphetamine and he's back in the saddle in about 3 episodes.
Next.
Hi. You spoke a little bit about your own mentor who sort of like helped you kickstart your career, helped you along the way. Who do you mentor and how do you mentor them? Maybe younger actors who you've worked with.
I taught classes forever, and I'm still in touch with them. I hope I've helped people in classes. I flatter myself I haven't hurt anyone. I'm not sure if you can teach acting. I think mostly what you can do is give people a place to practice. So much of it, there are skills, don't get me wrong, but so much of it is God-given. And on my show a little bit, they were really young. You know, I'm a nuts and bolts kind of guy. I don't, what mentoring I've done, what advice I've given has been very practical, very specific, not artistic. Things like, speak up. Speak up. If we can't hear you, why are you here? As I became a director, an actor being a director, I discovered that I could do things other directors couldn't. I'd see the DP come rushing in to start moving the lights. And I go, what's going on? He said, well, he's out of his light. And I said, no, leave the lights there. And I'd go to the actor and say, stand in your light, idiot. What's the matter with you? You know, I'd say to things, can you see the camera? And they go, no. I go, well, it can't see you either. I don't think a normal director can talk that way. You got to be in the tribe to talk to actors that way. I don't know. I've got people that call me for advice. I'm pretty self-centered, though. I don't mentor that many people.
One of the things that I've heard you, and possibly it was Felicity, but I believe you were there, has said is that don't, if you're in an acting class or you're just starting out with a bunch of other people and you think that you've got to wait for that first job to be an actor, that no, because those people that you're working with, when you're at Goddard College and you meet David Mamet, that you're already doing it.
Yes, I've said it a lot too. You go into an acting class, and what I like to say is, if you're waiting for your career to begin, you've blown it because it began a long time ago. So start thinking about the way you treat people. Start thinking about whether you're collaborative. Start thinking about the bad-mouthing you've done behind people's backs, because your career started. Some of these people you're working with, you'll know for the rest of your life.
Go ahead.
Hi there. Sorry. What is your dream play to perform in? So, like, outside of like age, race, sex, what play have you not done that you would
What
like
play?
to? Yeah,
To do
perform
a
in.
play? Oh, it's a cliche, but I came this close to getting to do Hamlet once, and the production fell apart. I don't care who you are. I think everybody wants to do Hamlet. I think right now, I haven't done a play in a long time. I did Speed the Plow on Broadway about 7 or 8 years ago. I'm getting close to the end of my career. I mean, I can smell the barn at this point. I'd like to go back to New York and do some plays. I'd like to be the old guy who can still learn lines. And I think I'm best on stage. That's where I started, and it's certainly what I like the most.
We talked about that, though. Like the Burt Lancaster, Atlantic City, local hero.
Oh, there's a great quote. Oh, you should have seen the Atlantic Ocean in those days. Isn't that genius?
Go ahead.
Hi, I think you do a great job in Shameless, and just playing that character, the serious parts and the kind of more kind of lunatic-y kind of parts. And I was kind of wondering, first off, is that natural for you? And second of all, where do you get that inspiration? Like, what goes to your head to kind of get into that kind of character? Because it's a very unique character.
Well, I'm Lutheran from Western Maryland, so I read these scripts and I'm as horrified as the people who watch it. I can't believe what they're having me do. So after I get the shock over the shock of it, I think it's an actor's job to fall in love with his character and to do that character's bidding. So my technique has something to do with figuring out why Frank's doing what he's doing. And I think the purpose of technique is to translate that into something that you personally can do with all your heart and soul. And it's a trick of technique to translate what the character's doing into something that you personally can believe in. So as horrifying as it is, I try to ground this stuff as best I can. But one of the benefits of being in the theater a long, long time is that at a certain point you realize things take care of themselves. It doesn't have to please me, it has to please the audience. So sometimes you just do it. Just shut up and say the words, and it all works out somehow. I was a jerk as a young actor, boy. I was rough on writers, and I was rough on directors, and I was doing everybody's job but my own. I was not a good guy. And with maturity came the knowledge that the actor's purview is so small. Just do your job, and it'll work out. And the script will carry you. And I think I got that from Dave Mamet a lot. It's rough. When you get a script that's badly written, it's nigh on impossible to memorize. It's funny that way. I don't know. I just ride the horse in the direction it's going. And I got a good sense of humor. I see what's funny about it. So there's that. Timing, the rudiments of comedy.
Thanks.
I know a little about drinking. Mr. Macy, thank you for giving us 30 plus years of something to believe in.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this. Come on, a little better than that, for goodness sakes. This is William Hanks Macy.
Thank you all. Thanks. Thank you for coming.
And the layover.